Hey guys, today we're going to talk about another really simple flashlight modification that will increase both your runtime and the brightness of your flashlight. And this is something you can do to any flashlight and it will help. Some to more extent than others, but pretty much I've never seen a flashlight that didn't benefit at least a little bit by this. Now I've done some empirical testing and what I did was kind of a before and after. And what I did was basically check the flashlight, check the lux it was putting out on my cell phone, did this, tested it again, and what I'm finding is about maybe like a 3 to 5% increase. So it's not as drastic as the spring bypass that gave me like 10-15, but if you do this, you do a spring bypass, you can easily, put yourself in the 15 to 20% increase in lumens and runtime for your new flashlight, or even an old one that just you feel like tinkering around with. So pretty much all you're going to need for this is some fine grit sandpaper, some isopropyl alcohol, and a Q-tip. As for grit, whatever floats your boat. I've done it with 200, I've done it with 1,000. I typically like to stick more with the higher end, around like 600, 800, 1,000, in that neighborhood. I just think it makes a better finish. So the principle here, which we're going to start out with this flashlight, which is another custom builder I did. And now what often happens when you buy a flashlight, and I've already done this, so is that the connections in the flashlight are made through areas that are not anodized. So as you can see in this, the threads are anodized, but this end here isn't anodized. Now what happens is that conducts electricity down into the tail cap through that little copper ring there. So the electricity basically goes from the battery up into the electronics to the LED, then it will go out into the casing of the flashlight where it goes back down and connects with that copper ring in the tail cap and completes the circuit. So one of the big things that can affect how your flashlight performs is having added resistance because the anodizing isn't completely removed. And you'll see when you start pulling your flashlights apart and actually looking at this, you'll notice it's actually pretty common that there'll be spots where the anodizing is still there. And what that does is it adds resistance and takes away. You want as much of that current as possible to make it through that circuit. So very simple, very easy. Just take your flashlight and do a light sanding on the bottom. Try and do it on a nice flat surface. Try and do nice light pressure. And 1,000 grit will give you a nice polished finish. And what that does is not only does it kind of true up the bottom, so if there's any machining mistakes or anything like that, any burrs, it'll take care of them. And it'll give you a better electrical contact, which will surprisingly help. Now the only thing is, after you do this, you're also going to have to clean, because you've basically just created a bunch of aluminum dust, which will conduct electricity, so you definitely want to clean that up when you're done. So what I do is just a little, make sure I'm on frame here, a little Q-tip and isopropyl alcohol, and that will remove all that dust. And I do a little bit on the inside as well, just to make sure none kind of fell in there, and that will clean that contact point. And that will help out actually quite a bit. Now you have to bear in mind that your flashlights usually have two places where they disassemble, so you can actually do this on both ends. Now the difference being, usually on the front ends they don't anodize the threads, so you don't have to worry as much, because there's a lot more of an electrical connection as opposed to the tail where the threads are anodized and it's just that end. So bear that in mind. Doing both ends will help increase that conductivity. Like I said, if there's any imperfections in the machining, it could be preventing a full, complete connection through there, so that always helps. So we'll get that flashlight. Oh, actually, we'll leave it here. The next thing is cleaning your flashlight. And once again, it's a real simple thing. Is anytime electricity is conducted, you're going to get carbon deposits. It's just the nature of the world. You can't stop it. So what helps, and is very helpful, especially with a new flashlight, because a lot of the times, like I said, when these flashlights are built, there's a lot of grit and grease left over from the machining process, is just to take one of those Q-tips with a little isopropyl alcohol on it and clean the contact areas of your flashlight. In this case, it's that copper ring. And you can see we actually got quite a bit of grit and grime off that. So you can clean up the electrical contact areas with alcohol. Now we'll take a look at a different flashlight just to kind of show you. This is the Nitecore P12. As you can see with this one, which I think I've already cleaned this one up, the anodizing looks to be off fairly well. So we're not going to do that, but we're going to put a little fresh side so you can see how dirty it is. Now I cleaned this one. I cleaned it a while back, so I want to see how much is built up in the past little bit. And as you can see, I probably cleaned this during hunting season. You can already see how much deposit has built up on it. That will cause resistance. That will keep the flashlight from achieving full potential. You see here, that's a really good job. I must have cleaned that one up. That's actually a really good ring there. Now the head of this one's a little different. This one doesn't have a spring. It's got that little copper plunger. Once again, that's an area, electrical contact point, that you want to clean really good. Because you clean those deposits off, it will make your flashlight run better. And once again, you can see there's a copper ring in there. That's where the casing makes contact. Get your Q-tip in there and clean stuff like that as well. This one's pretty clean except for the bottom there. But pretty much any flashlight. And this one here, I have not touched at all, so this is going to be a surprise when we open it. Okay, that's actually got a really good, nice clean ring, but it never hurts. Give it a little touch up. It'll help smooth things out. You never know, it might help a little bit. So that, we're going to give that a quick, you can see how dirty that one is. And that will help. This will help the performance of the flashlight, guys. It will. Okay, and we're going to open this one because I think this one's a little different in the head. Alright. Once again, this is an area that you really want to clean. Get some more alcohol on this. You can see that ring, that copper ring, is where all the contact is made. So you clean that off. Ooh, got a little fuzz on the spring. Clean that area out with your alcohol. Get all those deposits out. Your light will run better, and it will run brighter, and you'll have less problems. You'll have less areas of connection issues. You know, it'll kind of brighten your light back up. And the last thing, as far as this hack goes, is a very simple maintenance issue as well. Not really a hack, but is to tighten up these rings. You can see these use those like snap ring pliers, but you can get in there with a pair of fine nose tweezers or pliers. Tighten up these rings, that little copper ring, tighten them up. They get loose, you know, just from wobbling, wiggling around, and that can affect your electrical contact. So that's another area. Any place you have them, in the head, in the tail, you can see this one here has those two little dots as well. Tighten those suckers up. If they get even just a little bit loose, they can drastically increase the resistance in your flashlight. So there you go, guys. There's a couple of different examples. Like I said, the big thing, just make sure you clean up the ends. They can really see, like this one is a pretty thin tube. You can see there's not a ton of real estate there for contact to be made. So that one I'm going to work on. I'm going to actually sand that one back a little bit more so that we get a better electrical connection. There you go. Hope you enjoyed. Simple, easy, no major modifications. And a hiccup.